Good morning, everyone. First, I want to start off by saying how much more work we as an arts community and culture sector have to do to make our spaces more accessible and inclusive. But what I will say is Pittsburgh, we are leaders in this field, and many cities look up to us. I'm joined up here by my colleagues Vanessa, the Director of Accessibility for the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, and Regina from the Carnegie Museums, the User Experience and Digital Accessibility Specialist. I would like to thank the Heinz Endowments and Pfizer Foundation for recognizing the importance of inclusivity in our region. Pittsburgh, as I said, we're at the top of the list of cities that have made arts and culture inclusive, and the arts and culture institutions in Pittsburgh have continued to be champions of inclusivity and access for individuals living with disabilities. The organizations in Pittsburgh have gone, in our region, have gone beyond physical accessibility to continuously work to improve services and accommodations. There are two factors that really help us in making this happen: support and collaborations. Organizations such as GPAC, the Greater Pittsburgh Arts Council, ARAD, the Allegheny Regional Asset District, and the Pfizer Foundation all have given us resources, expertise, and even equipment to make these things possible. Small things such as sharing equipment, audio description and assistive listening devices shared between all of our organizations, and our organizations being able to collaborate. Small things such as the ballet doing activities during the sensory-friendly performances at the symphony, and the Children's Museum doing activities during the ballet sensory-friendly performances, or the ballerinas going to the Children's Museum sensory-friendly Halloween party. Working together is what makes this possible, and we couldn't do it without each other. And so now I will let Regina, you're next? Vanessa is next. Vanessa, I'll let you come up and chat about what else we work together on.
Thank you. Thank you, Dennis. So I am going to highlight our work with a very special community, and that is the sensory-friendly community. To give you a little history, back in 2013, the Trust was able to host the first sensory-friendly performance in the city of Pittsburgh with Disney's The Lion King. We became the second city outside of New York to host this wonderful musical and have continued this work with Broadway in 2018 with Wicked, and then once again this past September with The Lion King again. We became again the second city in the country outside of New York to host 3 sensory-friendly Broadway shows. Broadway is not the only performance that I want to highlight. The ballet became the first professional ballet company in the country to hold a sensory-friendly show, and the symphony followed in 2015 with their own sensory-friendly show, becoming the first symphony in the country to host a sensory-friendly performance. We would be remiss if we missed out on mentioning our museum community. The Children's Museum was an early adopter and really saw that we needed to reach out and invite these families and these individuals into our day-to-day work. So the museum community, the Carnegie Museums where Regina works, have followed suit, holding things like sensory-friendly discos, which, for anyone who's not familiar, means that you can listen to music through your iPod. Only only you are hearing this music, and be able to dance in a very inclusive environment. They, the work of the museum community extends into early opens and the modifications of some of their exhibits that are very similar to what we do in the performing arts space, with limiting flashing lights and booming sounds, things that are jarring to the senses. We also shared, Dennis mentioned that we are ubiquitous at one another's events. You can't go to a sensory-friendly event without running into the entire cultural community. So we're quite proud of that piece of our work. But another thing we share is wonderful advisors. One of the representatives of one of our organizations is here. Lou Randall from the Autism Connection of Pennsylvania became our first. Thank you. Yes. They became our first advisors and have subsequently trained all of our staff, our volunteers, anybody that's in the museum or the theater during the show. Lou and her team have interacted with them and truly done so much to educate us and our team. So also, one last thing before I go and sit down is that this work is completely collaborative. We are very lucky to have all of these wonderful organizations, and this is the reason that we have been seen nationally as leaders in this area. So now I will pass it to Regina for some tech talk.
Hello, everyone. So, as all of you know, most of you, I'm sure all of you, use the internet. And the internet's promise is that it's accessible to everyone. So, I'm sorry, my slide. So the first thing that you need to know about digital accessibility is that it's a process. You're never going to be finished with digital accessibility. There's always something new, always something changing, just like in technology. Universal design, though, is not only inclusive, it's good user experience for everyone. And that's something that you need to keep in mind whenever you're talking about digital accessibility in your organizations, that it improves the experience for everyone, not just those with disabilities. The Pittsburgh cultural institutions, they kicked off their accessibility work in the digital space with websites. And specifically, the Cultural Trust in 2012 made their website accessible to purchase tickets for those with mobile impairments. And in 2020, they're moving to make their website screen reader friendly. So anyone with a screen reader can purchase tickets. So I'm gonna skip ahead. So a few things. Digital space is not just websites though, it's emails, documents, web pages. So here's a few things that you can do in your everyday life to make things more accessible. Make sure you structure all of your documents, your emails, and your web pages, including alternative text, headings, lists. Everyone wants to be able to skim a document or an email for the pertinent information that they need to find. Contrast, make sure that you're not using a yellow font on a white background. It's not good for anyone's usability. And typography, make sure you're starting to use Comic Sans. It's more legible for everyone. And I'm just going to show you one thing that we at the Carnegie Museums of Pittsburgh Innovation Studio worked on. It's a tool that is online and open sourced for anyone who wants to make their websites or documents accessible. It's a helpful tool. I highly recommend it. And here is the email address for that: web-accessibility.carnegiemuseums.org. Thank you.